Well, Jacob, you're here. I'm
I am.
here. That must mean it's Tuesday night.
It is. It doesn't feel like it. My days of the week are jacked up, but it is a Tuesday night.
Yeah, it is Tuesday night, and we are here. We are United Front. My name, of course, is Seth Bidoff. Joining me back for the first time. I don't even know how long it's been. This feels like it's been a while. I know it's probably
It's
been like
only
2
been 2
weeks.
weeks.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been like 2 weeks, but it feels longer.
I wasn't on last week, but
Returning in a blaze of glory and preoccupied with NBA, I'm assuming.
no, Timberwolves are out. So
Okay.
no, I've been preoccupied with a bunch of other stuff, but that's it.
All righty. There it is, folks. Jacob Terrell back in the saddle, ready to do this thing. Jacob, I know Christina and I were talking TST last week. Did you happen to watch any of that over the weekend?
I did not get a chance to, unfortunately.
You did not? Okay.
I meant to go back and look into it,
Mhm.
but have not. So
You have not. All righty. Fair enough.
What I know Jamaica usually has a pretty good presence there with Frater and Brian Brown having played in the past. I'm assuming they played again this year.
So Brian Brown and Kevon Frater both did play. However, they did not play for the Reggae Rovers.
No.
They played for Newtown Pride FC, who were eliminated in the quarterfinals this year. Brian Brown did pick up a match winner in, I believe, the round of 16, which earned himself a golden fleece. So he has lifetime entry into TBT and TST. Yeah. So, yeah, Brian Brown getting on the score sheet. I did not see a goal for Kevon, unfortunately, but Kevon was there. Pat McAfee's group, Concafa SC, was eliminated in the semifinals. So, good showing there for Pat McAfee. Eventual winner of the men's bracket was Bumpy Pitch FC.
Okay.
Bumpy Pitch actually had both a men's and women's team this year. The women's team went to the finals on their side as well before losing to the U.S. women, which featured players such as Allie Long, Carly, and Casey Lloyd, and a few other national team members. So a couple $1 million winning teams out there.
There is a gentleman that I follow on social media named Brady O'Neill.
Okay.
I started following him because he's been trying to make a professional team for the last couple of years. He's tried out and featured for some USL League 2 teams. Played for a NISA team before NISA folded, and he was on a team in the TST. He was on Drip FC, which made it to the quarters.
They did.
And lost to Bumpy Pitch FC. So,
yeah, Drip FC turned some heads this year. They did pretty well. There were some big names in this tournament too.
I want to say he had a goal in one of the matches. I'd have to look and see. He's a defender by trade, but I'm not sure. The website that I'm on doesn't do a great job of showing stuff from the game, so I'll have to find that. But yeah, so I was keeping track of it roughly through his social media.
Yeah.
But that was about it. And so I meant to go back and see if I can watch some highlights specifically of his games in particular. But
let's see. Drip FC. Let's take a look. Drip FC, Brady O'Neill. We can look at his stats. Yeah, there is a stats page for TST. It's not great by any stretch of the imagination. It's really hard to get to where the stats page is unless you know exactly where to look. No goals for Brady, unfortunately.
No, okay.
No, played in 6 games.
I didn't think he necessarily would have one. I thought one of his highlights he had was him scoring one, but that was one of the highlights that I kind of breezed through, so
okay.
I wasn't sure. But yeah, so that I was following, and then of you guys in the chat a little bit. I didn't have cell service from Tuesday to Friday of last week, being up in the mountains, so that it was a lot when I got back from your texts, your guys' texts, and then work texts and emails and Chamber of Commerce board stuff. It was a lot when I got back, but I was able to watch the match Saturday and actually pay attention. And so it was just the week that was busy for me this time. The weekend wasn't too bad. Yeah. I wish I could say the same coming into this coming week, but I'm going to be pretty busy all weekend. So we'll get to watch the game live or not.
Fair enough. So quickly, do we want to address the thing that we talked about in chat with a certain tweet?
The thing that we talked about in the chat via a certain tweet. Let me look that up. What you fill time
with a certain account that I take with? No, okay, perfect. We can move on from that then. So we got, let's just talk about it. We'll jump right into it. Saturday night, New Mexico United, Colorado Springs Switchbacks, little brother coming to town. Historically, this has been a New Mexico United dominated matchup. This one ended up 1-1 after an own goal came off the leg of Kalen Ryden. Let's just, I guess we got to talk about this one. Hi, Christina. Oh, you're muted.
I think we can hear you now.
Can you?
There's some feedback there.
You might not be connected to your headphones. Okay. Yes, just an own goal that for sure, if Kalen, Kalen could have technically done better with it, but if he doesn't make an attempt and get a piece of it at all, then Tejada's right there to punch it home pretty easily. And if Tejada was going to miss that, it would be the miss of the year, in my opinion. So, well, I don't know. Fernando had a really bad one.
He did.
A while back, but yeah. So that, well, there was some discord about Kalen on social media that I wasn't a huge fan of.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I'll have to see if we can't figure that out. Christina, are we good now?
Can you hear me?
There we go.
All right.
So great timing. We were just going to get started talking about this Saturday's match. I know were you there on Saturday?
I was there.
You were there. Okay.
I was down on the pitch for the first half. And then it went up to my seats for the second half.
Perfect.
Okay, so it's your fault we lost.
Maybe so. I don't know.
I will say you did get some pretty good videos, Jacob. Did we get those out? Do you know?
I used the goal video for our post tonight.
Okay.
So that was the only one that I got that was worthwhile. There was a couple where the ball came straight at me and it was like, oh.
That happens. It's fun.
It was definitely amateur hour with me down there.
It took me quite a while to get used to filming because for the first several years, I was all about the camera and the pictures. But unfortunately, that doesn't drive traffic to the posts very well. So then I switched over to more videos and less pictures. And also, I don't have the best camera or the best lenses. So with my camera itself, once the sun goes down, I cannot get great pictures.
You have a Canon, right?
No, I have a Nikon.
You have a Nikon,
it's just,
okay.
I don't have a big enough lens and to let in enough light to still capture action shots with my shutter speed still high enough to where I don't get blur. And so, it was $500 for the camera and 2 lenses and a bag, brand new. So it's very entry level stuff. And I feel like I can get really good shots during the day still, and still get good crowd shots, even at night some. But I've gotten to the point now where, especially once the sun goes down, I put the camera away and I'm strictly videos and pictures from my phone. And so, but it took a while to get used to filming that. At the beginning of the year, I looked at a gimbal and a little Bluetooth mic to use for like pressers and stuff like that, and thought about setting the mic like by the goalkeeper during the match and stuff, but I haven't been to one since
El Paso, right? Or no, you went for Jaeger.
No, I was at Union Omaha. Yeah, I was at Union Omaha in the Jägermeister Cup, and then I think that's it. I think that was the last one I was. So it's been a while. I plan on going to the 21st. No, I don't know. We'll see.
The Pride on the Pitch one.
I'm not sure. We'll see.
Okay. Fair enough. But no, I agree with you. So my camera does the same thing too, and I've experienced it. I've tried doing pictures at UNM, and I thought maybe just UNM because the lighting there is atrocious. No. It's not that. So like I noticed it. My fiance has my camera. She noticed it. She was doing a horse show a couple weekends ago. Just once the sun goes down, unless you have like a giant lens, like you can't get enough light, and it's incredibly hard. So I agree. Like I wish I had more. I wish, we could do something to where we could do that, but yeah, it's.
Well, I was on my iPhone, but then I selfishly wanted to be able to like really take in the game, and it's a little bit harder. I mean, I'm short. I'm kind of old. Eyes aren't so great. It's hard to see. So I figure, I'm going to go up. But yeah, maybe that wasn't a good idea. I should have stuck around down there.
Yeah, no, fair enough. It's. I'll be honest. I was having this conversation with my fiance the other day. She goes, "When's the last time you really just sat down and were able to just enjoy a game and not have to worry about all the other stuff, not have to worry about radio station and doing all these other things and whatever?" I said, honestly, very first match ever. Probably, because that's when I get my start doing all this media stuff. But no, more power to you for walking away and sitting down and trying to enjoy this match. I will say, before we get into the meat and potatoes of it, we did get some good news ahead of the match on Saturday. Sergio Rivas off the injury report. Dayon Harris. Sergio did fine on set. Sergio was fine on Saturday. It's good to have him back. Adds back to the depth. So yes, Dayon Harris off the injury report. Tony Herbert off the injury report. So we got some good news.
Getting closer.
Harris was on it on the TV. On the TV one that they did, he was on it.
Yeah, the social media one, he was not.
Yeah. So I was listening to Andy and Adam before the match, and they had Pete on, and he did say that he's now training with the first team, nice. And that he's still fast as hell.
Yep, he's close from what I was told on Saturday. Dayon is very close to coming back. He's ahead of schedule, but yeah, they are still. It probably won't be too much longer before we see him, but he is officially off the injury report. He's training full speed, first team. Super excited to hear that. Coming back from the ACL injury, really glad to see him. I saw Tony at the game on Saturday. Tony was in street clothes. He's fine. He's off the injury report. He should be back within next week or two. And then Sergio Rivas obviously back off the injury report, back in the 18, getting some minutes on Saturday night. And then I did get an update. If you haven't seen it over in the Discord, we did get an update on Greg Hurst in terms of his time and when he may potentially be coming back. We know that he's been out for just about 2 months now. Greg Hurst did have a minor procedure done, and he should be back soon. So I do know the nature of the injury as well. I don't know how far I'm allowed to go with that. But our speculation as it being lower body is correct from everything that we know. So minor procedure for Greg. He should be back soon. So keep an eye out for that. So lots of good news for the club in that aspect. A lot of things, a lot of good pieces, a lot of players coming back. I mean, of those four guys, obviously Sergio got some minutes. Who are you guys most excited to see back in the 18?
I mean, Harris for sure.
Space Kid, that is incorrect.
Harris was my favorite new player last year. I was super bummed when he went out on the injury. So I am super excited for Harris to make his debut back.
Yep, that's certainly exciting. I know Dayon was a lot of fun to watch last year. He did a lot of really good things. Can't wait to see him back in action. Glad to hear he's back in training. Jacob, is there one of these that you're most looking forward to seeing back? And unmute yourself.
I think Harris is probably like the most I'm excited. I think the biggest one coming back is Herbert, though. With Harris, we have depth in those wing positions. Herbert is really the third center back. Really, we really only have three. And so him coming back and being able to spell guys like a guy like, let's call it like it is. It's Ryden that he will be spelling. Maples is an Iron Man, and unless he gets an injury, will be out there probably every match. But Ryden is up there in age. Maybe if Ryden's not playing every other match or every match, he has enough to get that foot right and not tap it in the back of the goal and actually deflect it out instead. Maybe, who knows? And so I think the biggest impact right away, anyways, I think will be Herbert coming back whenever he comes back, just because we know at his best, he's just go gadget legs and go gadget arm and everything like that. And so we know defensively he's solid. He's not the best with the ball at his feet, which is kind of a big deal for us, but he's at least passable there, and he makes up for it by if there is a turnover by him or Maples or somebody else on that back line or defensive mids, he's able to get back and cover and be in better position. So I think for me, his name definitely pops more than anybody else's. Hurst is another one that's kind of, we're thin there too. I've liked what I've seen from Among, but he hasn't produced necessarily. I think Hurst, when he went out, even after slowing down from a hot start, was still playing really good ball. And so I think one of those two, I'll go Herbert, just because I think we need more depth back there, since it's two positions technically, both center backs that we really only have three guys for. At least with up top, we've got Among. We saw Gaines play there against Colorado Springs. We've seen Bruce up there at times, and so we have some other options that are passable up there. Really, if Maples or Ryden go down, it's probably Seymour back there. We saw a little bit of Jalen Lindsay back there earlier in the season when we had a couple guys down with an injury, and so it's real thin back there compared to up top, where I feel like we're decent up top even without Hurst.
I would agree. Among is certainly playing better than he was in his first few appearances. He's had some looks. He's getting, he's got a couple goals now. He looks a heck of a lot better. He looks like he's more in tune with the flow of what Coach Sanchez wants to do and with the players around him. And so just getting those minutes, getting the game time, he's continuing to improve. And I do think we see more goals out of him as the season goes on. I do think that he needs to continue to get minutes, because if you suddenly start cutting those minutes back, and I think you either need to figure out some way to almost share the minutes between Hursty and Among. And how do you, hard, and without the congested schedule like we saw last couple of years, maybe do in which you could probably do like a 60-30 split, from one game to the next. I don't know how you really do that unless I guess you could do the same thing to kind of give them both minutes, unless you go to a two at the top or maybe play Among underneath. I don't know. I don't know that I don't know that sticking Among underneath really works.
Right. It's something, I feel like one thing Sanchez has been doing is keeping us on our toes as far as what the lineup is going to be. So that's certainly one thing he hasn't had the opportunity to try yet, is having two up top.
I really wanted to see it. I mentioned it in our group chat. I really wanted to see it with the lineup that he rolled out Saturday. I thought that it would be a good opportunity for like a 4-4-2 kind of change there with the players that we had out there, but it's not what we saw, unfortunately.
You mean a 4-4-2 like the one that Colorado Springs dropped into in the second half when they were, trying to bunker ball once again at the lab?
Yeah, but a 4-4-2 doesn't mean you have to bunker.
Oh, no, I know it doesn't, but that's what they did. Once they got that equalizer, it was clear Colorado dropped into a 4-4-2, and there was maybe 2 yards between the second and third line. And they made it incredibly hard for us to break that low block. And that was one of the things that Coach Sanchez talked about in the presser. And I believe we had that from McKenzie as well. But yeah, it's just once that goal happened, it became an incredibly difficult match. And Jacob, you talked about hoping to see that, and we'll go back here real quick. I mean, this is how it lined up, and this is kind of how it started. But it doesn't play as a traditional. It says 4-3-3 here. It looks almost like a 4-3-1-2, but you don't have a 9 in this. Like you really don't, and it makes it difficult. Like I would love to see, maybe Fernando and someone else up top, or maybe Fernando drop underneath. I think that could be an interesting play with, Fernando underneath with like Hurst up top or Among up top.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's an interesting play there because you've got Hurst and Among who can play that hold up and create some space for Fernando underneath. I think that would be interesting, or even like Gaines or someone. I think there's opportunities there. I mean, do you think there's a reason why we haven't done to it like a true like 2 at the top at any point?
It feels like it's just been lacking an opportunity to have available players who can do. I don't know. Oh,
I'm not sure. I'd have to look and see what Sanchez did last year. How many times he went to that and whatnot. I feel like it's just not something he wants to do or is comfortable doing with this particular group of guys. I don't know exactly what his thoughts are there, but it just seems like it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, could be the case. Jane, thank you so much. I wasn't sure. I thought it was 2. Maybe I'm thinking outside of league play as well, but
yeah, I think he only has 1 total, and it was his very first match he scored. After
right off the bench, right?
Sub. Yeah, he came on as a sub and ended up scoring.
Gaines and Among up top might work. That's an interesting one there too, Justin. I do like that. So yeah, and this, I mean, obviously minor rivalry here. I wouldn't necessarily call this anything near as big. Okay, hold on. David, are you free? We're going to pause this here real quick. David, do you want to hop on the show?
Pretty exciting. While we wait for David to respond, Jacob, the 21st is the Juneteenth game against San Antonio.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be in a basketball tournament. Harry came. Yeah. I'm supposed to be in a basketball tournament that weekend, but it's not official yet, so that's kind of what I was waiting on.
Fun going stuff. To United game sounds way more fun.
I love playing basketball, though.
Do you? Yeah. My husband played basketball growing up, and I just couldn't get into it.
All right, perfect. David, I think you should have the link. It's the one I sent to you and Ron. So awesome. So yeah, I mean, we'll get it. And we're going to talk about the Pride Kit. Do we want to address that one comment here real quickly? I know Justin or Josh kind of addressed it, but
I think, I commented that the LAFC tifos were really pretty cool. Neat to see all the different groups around their stadium, BMO, just embracing their artistry and sharing how they're feeling.
Yeah. So Space Kid. So like Josh said, LA is not our community. Yes, New Mexico has ties to the LA community. I mean, obviously the Isotopes were, the AAA affiliate of the Dodgers for many, many years. But other than that, I mean, realistically, there's not a whole lot of ties there. I wouldn't expect the club to come out and say anything specifically about LA. That being said, it is Pride Month. We have Pride on the Pitch coming up in 2 weeks. we have Juneteenth. And we've got, then we got Juneteenth, and the week after that is Pride on the Pitch. Pride Kit comes out this week. Jacob, do we have the teaser queued up possibly from X?
I can get it.
You get it? Okay. So I don't think it's necessary for the club to make a statement on what's happening in LA. The club has gone above and beyond to be inclusive of the LGBTQIA plus community, of people with disabilities, people with individuals with disabilities, or handy capable folks, however you want to say it. I mean, there's no need, because this club is, according to I brought up that other tweet. So to think that the club needs to go out and say something about this, it's unnecessary.
They've also done like the citizenship ceremonies prior to the matches, which is pretty cool that they do.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Between all of that, the community service, the give back, the drives for kids, for school, for food banks, for blood drives, for the academy, for everything that they do. United in our abilities, right? Like, there's no tie to the LA community. So like, I don't think it's necessary that the club say anything about it. Like, obviously those of us who are following the news, and we don't want to get political on this show. Sometimes politics comes into this. Sometimes real life comes into this. But like, the club does a phenomenal job of being supportive and inclusive, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
And I didn't really take it as shade, Space Kid. I think it was a genuine question. But yeah, I think Seth has sort of expressed it really well, at least from my perspective, that the club historically has always been very, very supportive, very vocal in the times when it's needed.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that they have been. Jacob, do we have?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. You want to go and share that for us?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, let Juarez into the supporter section. Yeah, that they did. that is inclusive as well. We do allow El Paso. So we do allow El Paso fans into the stadium. So So yeah,
Phoenix
as
fans, yeah.
like David said, Pride Kit drops tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Here is the hype video for that. I can't wait. I'm excited for that one. Pride Kit, obviously, for those of you that don't know, I'm sure I've talked about on the show before. I have, my family is very LGBTQ friendly. Like, I have family members who are part of the LGBTQ community. It's a very important deal for me. I have Pride kits. I have the flags. I'm going to get the Pride hat. Although I do wish it was fitted. I will say that, but I'm going to get the Pride. I'm going to get it because the Pride dad hat. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get that this year. Who needs
the flag looks really neat too.
Yeah.
They did share the artist this year who, oh yeah, Seth, you did have to create a new link. Was it last week?
I did. Yeah. I'll send this right over, David.
Yeah, so at least I saw on Instagram that they announced the artist for this year's Pride flag, and super unique. Looks really neat. When I saw the Pride event downtown or in Nob Hill, the flag really popped. Like seeing it on video and the photos.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's the club. Like I said, the club does such a good job with everything. Really excited for this. 5 p.m. Friday at the team shop. Pride jersey will be like, yes, that correct, Jane. Yeah, the club's been was announcing it today. I can't wait. I saw the drop there. It's just, again, the club does so much to support different communities and individuals, and included in that, local artists as well, which is fun. Do we have a picture of the flag?
No, sorry. We can.
No, you're good.
Keep it on your toes, Jacob.
I was looking because it doesn't. I don't remember very many New Mexico United Pride kits, like actual kits that they wore on the pitch. There's a black one with the rainbow collar and the rainbow words, but I have a training kit that it's white with the
logo.
The badge
shield.
is actually the badge is
shield.
actually rainbow. But I couldn't remember exactly how many. I remember the black one, and I think that might be the only one we have.
Well, that's the one that where Pete had the really cool dual kit, right? Where it was a combo of the two different options.
Yeah.
That one of a kind.
Maybe.
Yeah, hopefully Kelly's right. Hopefully the shorts matched.
There he is, David Weesey-Carl, joining us over here on the show tonight. David, thank you so much. I saw you in the chat. I had to ask. I didn't get a chance to text you earlier. We're talking Pride. You've got the Pride hat on. Can we get that in a fitted?
Yeah, I love a dad hat. I'm a dad hat kind of guy, personally. And if the problem with getting it in fitted is you got to fit people with giant heads like me, which is why we do adjustable hats. Because if we did fitteds for my size, you'd have to get twice as much fabric.
Fair enough. I'm right there with you. I tend to run like an XL on that as well. So, David, thank you again for joining us. Again, I know it was last minute. Facebook broke our hearts yesterday. First of all, congratulations to you on the new position. David, if you haven't seen it, David Weesey-Carl will be leaving New Mexico United and off to Houston Dynamo. Vice President of Communications? Yes.
Vice President of Communications and Corporate Affairs, yeah.
Okay. So, so you and Chanel will be leaving us, unfortunately. You were telling a story Saturday night about how you first got started with the club, as a fan first, moving into the office, how Pete poached you. And I have to think that, Houston's poaching you from us. Tell us that's the case. Do we get some compensation for this?
Yeah, Edamar worked it into my contract as a sell-on fee. So yeah, I think it's super bittersweet. Unexpected. I didn't apply for that. I wasn't looking to leave. Chanel and I were planning on staying in New Mexico for the rest of our lives because it's our home and we love it here. They came and recruited, and I've been recruited for positions similar to this before, and turned them down for any number of reasons. But just had some really, really wonderful conversations. And when they first approached, I was like, yeah, I'll talk to them, but I'm not expecting it to go anywhere. Right. But I had some really wonderful conversations with the folks over at Dynamo and Dash. And I'm just excited about the direction that organization is going. They're a community first organization, which you guys know is always number one for me. That's always what I've cared about first. And it's part of the reason I've turned down other offers in the past, and other opportunities in the past. So I'm excited, a little nervous. And like I said, it's super bittersweet because I love New Mexico with all my heart. It's my home. I have the Zia tattooed on me, right? It's home. And we'll be back. We'll be back pretty regularly. Chanel's family is here. We love them, and we'll be back for holidays and things like that. And I'm a fan first. That's the big promotion. I get to be promoted to fan of New Mexico United, which I'm really excited about. And I'm going to keep my season ticket forever, by the way. So I will have my season ticket in the supporter section forever. And when I come back, I'm in the supporter section.
There you go. Perfect. Glad to hear it. I mean, obviously, again, congratulations. A huge move for you professionally. I know Chanel recently left the Somos Unidos Foundation as well.
So a year and a half ago now.
A year and a half, yeah. So, I mean, obviously, moving to another community first club is a huge deal for both of you. Hopefully there's a way that Chanel is going to be getting involved over there as well. And I don't know if there's plans or anything as far as that goes, but in terms of you have been incredibly gracious to all of us here in the local media. You've answered by far many texts and phone calls and emails and requests for us to talk to players and coaches and Itamar and Ron and all of that, and we can't thank you enough for all the work that you've done. Not only supporting the Curse, but also supporting the local media. And we've talked in the past about how big local media is. So, I mean, what's the succession plan for you here? What's the plan for you to when, as far as leaving? Like, is this an imminent thing, or do we have time to like steal some more interviews from you?
Yeah, okay, we'll get some more time in. Yeah, so when Dynamo and Dash initially made the offer, they wanted me there pretty quick. They asked if I could be there in 2 to 3 weeks, and I couldn't do that. That wouldn't be fair to the club. Wouldn't give time to fill in space or train anybody or anything like that. So Dynamo and Dash were incredibly generous and gave me 6 weeks, which is amazing. So that was about 3 weeks ago. So we've been, in the meantime, Seth, you've seen, I know you guys have seen probably, we've posted a few jobs, a director of communications, community coordinator, and an executive director of the foundation to kind of fill in the stuff that I'm doing. The foundation part is just interim for now for me anyway, but just kind of filling in the space there. And the hope is to get people in quickly so we can get them trained and get rolling. And the thing about, making this switch, I consider it a compliment of the club just as much as it is of my work. I'm proud of what I've done, and I'm proud of the relationships I've built and the community we've all built together and will continue to. But I think that it's a compliment of the work that New Mexico United does as a whole, right? There are a bunch of VPs at Dynamo and Dash. I'm the only one that's coming from quote unquote lower. They have people from NFL and Major League Baseball and NBA and NHL and other MLS teams and all of that kind of stuff. But I'm the only one that's coming from a quote unquote lower. And that's a compliment to the community that we've built here and the work that we've all done together. And that's not just the front office. That's not just the players. It's the fans. It's everybody together. So it's a really, really positive compliment to what we're all building here and what we're going to continue to build. And that doesn't stop with me.
So taking what you've learned here at New Mexico United, I know your background. Anyone who's done the, behind the shield knows a bit about your background. You came over from a broadcast background. What can you take from that and from this to as you said, going up from a lower level, basically, from using your words, to now Dynamo and Dash and applying it there in terms of especially incorporating local media and smaller outlets?
Yeah, I think in the interview process, from what I could tell, the things that they were most impressed with weren't getting coverage, right? It wasn't the documentary we did with Trevor Noah, right? It wasn't the quote unquote big things we've gotten. I think the thing and really what was most reassuring to me is the things that they were most impressed with were the focus on people. And like I said, I think that's what really attracted me to this role in the first place, right? The focus on making sure that people know that they're part of something. I mean, I talked about, and they want to know about me and the work I've done. And I said, the work I've done is all about us. It's about the New Mexican community. It's about people. And I've had a lot of help and support along the way. And like I said, it made me feel really good that what they were really interested in is how do we build a community? How do we make people feel as though they are part of a Dynamo and Dash community, just like we have in New Mexico, right? And that's all I've ever really wanted to do. It's never been about the soccer. I love the soccer. You guys know that. I'm a big old soccer nerd, but really when it comes down to it, it's about bringing people together. I mean, the mission statement is real. It's true. It's not just words on a piece of paper. It's the goal is to bring New Mexicans together in ways they've never been brought together before in order to be an agent of positive change. And I can tell you that the people in that front office and on that technical staff and in that locker room live that every day. And that's what is always attractive to me. It's making a difference in a community. It's funny, at the beginning of the year this year, we have the beginning every year, we do like a winter retreat in January. That's very nice of you, Josh. Thank you. But we do a winter retreat in January, and this year we Ron did a presentation that he says is cheesy, but I really like, and it was measuring our success in smiles. So it does sound a little cheesy, but we went through, and that sounds really difficult to quantify, but we went through event by event, situation by situation, everything from the supporters summit to individual match tickets sold to fan trips to trivia at Bosque and everything in between. And we counted up the smiles, and we got last year to about 900,000. And our goal this year is 1 million. And it's a lofty goal. And again, people might think it's cheesy or impossible to quantify, but that's how we want to live. That's how we want to be as a club. We want to make a difference in people's lives in a positive way. Can we do that by lifting a cup? Hell yeah. And I hope we do really soon. But we can also do that by being there for somebody when they're down. We can do that by welcoming people in who aren't traditionally welcome to sports. We can do that by providing free clinics for kids. There's so many ways we can make a difference that's beyond just that pitch. And I'm proud to be part of that. And it's been some of the best years of my life to be part of this club, and I'll never forget it.
So a couple of weeks ago, when we had Ron on the show, I know you were traveling that evening, and Ron actually talked about that presentation. So it was
That's right, he did.
Yeah, it was a really fun thing to hear about. And it's, again, we were talking to the Space Kid here a few minutes ago because he was asking about LA, and it's like, the inclusivity, the happiness that the club brings to people, the outreach that the club does is second to none. We've talked about this. I've never seen a club, any sports team, that does this level of outreach, and to have so many players and members of the organization so bought into that idea, I think it's a testament to what Pete and Troy and everyone from the ground up, and you as well, from the work that you've done, like you've been there, you're out in front of most people. Most people know, hey, that's David. David's a guy that we're going to get information from. He's a guy that's going to be, you're doing chants of the match. You do so much on match days that people don't know about. And then just, again,
everybody does. So it's not just me. Everybody wears a lot of hats.
Yes. So, yeah. Yes, that is true. But we're building you up here. You're the one that's here tonight. But no, like, it's seeing everything that you do. You're one of the most visible people in the organization. Obviously, Pete does all the radio shows and everything, but again, you're out there, you're in front of everybody, you're doing all of these things. And again, like, nobody here can thank you enough for allowing us in, for allowing the fans in, and allowing all of us to help be a part of this.
Thank you. And I can tell, I appreciate that, Seth. That's very kind of you, and I appreciate it. I can assure you that even after I'm gone, that's not going away. We're I get to be upgraded to fan here. We as fans are supporting a club that's in really good hands. Ron cares immensely. Ron works incredibly hard, and there are 1 million people with him. I think of Jules Myers. I think of Clint Gray. I think of Tyler Ortega. There are so many people, Kim Kaczynski, Ed Vidales. Like, there are people that you guys probably have never met and you don't necessarily know who care so much about you. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that makes it real. I think it would be really, really difficult to fake this level of community care, right? It'd be really, really difficult to fake this level of support. The only way it's successful is if it comes from a genuine place. And the people in that front office, and I just named a few of them, but there's dozens more, care so deeply about the mission of making New Mexico a better, more welcoming place. And that, like I said, that doesn't stop when I'm gone. In fact, it's going to get even better. We're really lucky to support a team that cares so much.
I want to say too, and again, this is something folks don't see. There was an intern in the press box on Saturday. I had the chance to meet Gavin. Okay, I couldn't remember his name. I had the chance to meet Gavin, and just watching you with him and the interest that he took in everything that you were doing. Again, like I know people that will come in and try to take on an internship role, and yeah, sure, fine. It's a college credit. It is what it is. But the way that you approached it with him, like, I think that's how you bring more people into sports and sports journalism and working in sports environments. And I had a side conversation with someone else about encouraging, these, I think it may have been me and you, maybe me and Ken, talking about bringing younger kids into internship roles and exposing them to things like this. And when it comes to something like that, how important are programs like internships and the diversity program that United do to the future of the club and the sport in general?
Yeah, I mean, think about sports broadly, right? Think about your favorite sports team. Let's accept the Atlanta Braves. And this is not meant to throw shade at the Braves whatsoever. I hate them, but that's not what we're talking about, right? The Atlanta Braves, as much as you may love them, probably don't feel like an approachable organization to you, right? They are a big MLB club. You go to the game and it's a blast, right? You go and you get food, you watch the game, you hope they win, you pay too much for cotton candy, whatever it is. They're not approachable. Mm-hmm. You don't think, man, I could, be part of that someday. I'm going to go there and I'm going to have fun, but then I'm done for the day. And that's it. Maybe I'm part of a fan club, at the very least, which is all of that's wonderful. But, providing pathways and opportunities for people, whether that is a pathway toward a career, a pathway towards just learning, like an internship could be, a pathway towards, volunteer opportunities, which we try to provide with the Somos Unidos Foundation. I think, again, there's different ways to be approachable, and, we try to make our matches as accessible and welcoming as possible. Our supporters, do an incredible job of that. And they work really hard to bring new people in every single match. But there are other ways to do that too, right? And I think providing opportunities for people through something like a diversity fellowship program, through internship programs, it provides opportunities for people to learn, young people in particular, say, oh man, maybe this is something I want to pursue in my life. Or maybe I want to get the hell away from this and never touch it again. That's good to learn too. Yeah. I had an internship when I was in college that was in news. And I was pretty sure that I wanted to go into news. And then I went to that internship and I was positive I wanted to go into news. And it shaped what I did for a large portion of my career. So that stuff is important. And again, it's part of being inclusive. It's part of being the club that we're proud to be.
So we've talked a little bit in the past about secrets and the worst kept secret in the USL, and between the return of Kevon and Radio VUCA, and I know I teased you a little bit on Saturday about breaking the internet again with Brian Brown after his goal in the TST. Yeah. What's the first piece of news you potentially foresee breaking the internet at Dynamo or Dash?
Oh, that's a good question. So the day before my start date, we will be hosting the Gold Cup final, which will be pretty cool. Yeah. So it's because it's the day before I start, I can't go work, but I'm going to go be a fan, and hopefully the US is in it. They're not going to be in it. They look terrible, but I hope they are. And regardless, I'm going to go and I'm going to have fun. And I mean, that's not news or anything. That's just something that's really cool that I'm excited to get rolling right off on the bat there. As far as big projects on the Dynamo and Dash situation, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that they're working on. They've got this really great training facility called Houston Sports Park. It's an indoor and outdoor facility. They've got 8 world-class fields, as well as an indoor space, and they're looking to potentially expand that. But that's not news. Also, I'm not going to leak anything to you. Come on. But yeah, they've got a lot of cool stuff going on. I'm still learning a ton. I'm going to be learning a ton for a while. I'm going to be drinking from a fire hose for a little bit, as anybody would be, right, in a new role like this. But yeah, I'm excited to listen and learn. I've got a staff there that I'm going to be working with, and that's been there for a long time doing great stuff. So I'm excited to learn from them. And MLS is a different bird than USL in a lot of ways, but in some ways it's really similar. So I'm hoping to take what I've learned here and try and translate it to positive outcomes in Houston. That's my goal.
Very cool. And yeah, speaking of U.S. men's national team, 4-0 lost to Switzerland.
Yeah. Don't worry, Christian Pulisic. Oh wait, he's not playing. Yeah, we're in rough shape, guys. We're in real rough shape there.
I'm fairly certain Jacob is Pochettino out. Are you Pochettino out as well?
I mean, you got to give him a chance, and it's been a bad start. But he's only been in the role for 2 months. So that's I mean, I'm not impressed if that's what you're asking. But again, I think it's been a month and a half, 2 months since he's been in the role. He better start fixing things because Bruce Arena can get 4-0 losses. I mean,
Yeah.
It's real not good. It's real not good.
The only, as far as my math is correct, I believe the only other national team coach that's ever had 3 losses in a row is Klinsmann, and this is now 4 in a row.
And again, 4-0 to Switzerland. It's not like we lost to Brazil or Germany or France. It's 4-0 to Switzerland. Their best player is Granit Xhaka. It's not great.
Yeah, fair enough. While we're here, if you want to hang out, we're going to talk some Colorado Springs. We're going to talk some, some of this upcoming match against first-time opponent.
Yeah, I can hang out. We can talk wrestling too. Have some fun.
Very cool. All right, let's pull this back up here, and we'll get into it. David, obviously, we talked before. You and I talk throughout the matches. We get to watch everything and see everything as it happens and unfolds, and not react like fans would.
We're not supposed to, but sometimes we do.
Yeah, that is incredibly true. This match here, and we'll open up to everybody, but David, we'll start with you. I mean, obviously not quite the rivalry as Phoenix and El Paso is, but there was a physicality to this match that I don't think any of us were really expecting, and it took shape early on.
Yeah, right off the bat, chippy and aggressive from Colorado Springs, and that really kind of continued. Oh, what a hit. Oh, my God, Marlon.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah,
yeah,
go vote for Marlon. But yeah, I mean, that really continued throughout. I mean, it only kind of ramped up after we scored the goal too, right? Mm-hmm. It was chippy. And I do wonder if that is becoming a playbook against New Mexico, because we've seen it in a few matches in a row, get physical with them and see how they react. Fortunately, we've largely reacted well to that. But it's interesting to see that kind of match in and match out recently.
Yeah, and Christina, we were talking earlier, about what we want to see out of this formation and who's playing well and who's doing not. Obviously, this play here, great goal for Marlon Vargas. It really felt like we were in control early in terms of pace and possession, but really after the goal, I had several folks come up to me and say, "Hey, it felt like United switched off a bit again. Is this something that we're concerned about again?"
At least in the second half, I was starting to feel like, my seats are up in the club level, so it's kind of like a bird's eye view. And it felt like offside again and again and again. And from my perspective, it seemed like it was because the guys weren't getting back. It was kind of just like checked out. Maybe it's fatigue factor, maybe it's laziness, I don't know. But more than once, that was a factor where goals were called back, or they were, in a goal scoring position, called back. So I kind of do agree with that checked out sort of, but like I said, maybe fatigue too.
Jacob, what's your take on it? I mean, obviously we were talking earlier about the return of Tony Herbert off the injury report this weekend. And you mentioned, potentially if, you're spelling him with Kalen Ryden, maybe Ryden has a little extra oomph able to get there. I mean, how much of this own goal here is on Kalen not getting there? How much of it's just a less than ideal touch? I mean, how much of it is because we left them wide open on the left wing?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of, I found out live on the show that David was leaving. So
Me too.
Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I did
I'm not
not
on Facebook anymore, so I missed the memo.
I did not see the news anywhere.
Oops.
So
that's
so
the biggest David leaks of all time.
Yeah, so I'm still kind of reeling from that. But no, as far as that is concerned, yeah, I think it's kind of on Kalen for not being able to be in a position to get back on that. It's kind of on who is that on that side? Lindsay?
Jalen.
Yeah, for kind of letting him just walk right into that cross. It's just one of those things where it's not like the Maples handball from last year where even that was kind of
that was comedy gold, honestly.
Yeah, we weren't sure who to blame.
Dude.
I mean, obviously it was Talon who picked it up, but
I
understood why he was doing
whoops.
it. Yeah, for sure. But it's not easy to pin those kind of things on one person, one mistake. It's almost always going to be at least a couple people, if not a team effort, to make that mistake. And I do think in that highlight package right there, they show a great shot of it from basically straight down the line. And it does look like Kalen is just a little slow to get there. And if he hasn't played the last X amount of matches in a row, maybe he's a little fresher and can make it. Who's to say? But it's, to me, I thought we looked really good the majority of the match, which I think we've been able to say pretty much every match this year, aside from a couple here and there. And I was happy with the chances we were getting. Sometimes they were a step offside. Sometimes it was finishing that was a problem. Sometimes it was the pass before the pass was just a little off, so we couldn't quite get the perfect touch on the final product there. And it just kind of was what it was. I don't think it was. If anything, it's fatigue. I've yet to come out of a game aside because I had the fortunate opportunity to not watch the El Paso match in El Paso.
I was there.
So I can't speak to that one, but I personally have not watched a match that I've been like, man, we completely just shit the bed on that one. And so
yeah, you definitely missed the El Paso match then.
Yeah, I did. I did. So yeah.
Well, I think Jacob. By the way, Jacob, I want to say this. You guys have been doing the show for how long?
We've been doing the podcast since 2020.
2020.
I want to say, you guys, first of all, you do a great job. Broadly speaking, you do a wonderful job. Jacob, your analysis since 2020 has it's leaps and bounds. It's unbelievable how much you've grown in that space.
I appreciate that. Because remember, I was not a soccer fan until 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you see the small pieces that I don't think a lot of people see. And I think your analysis is spot on there, especially on the own goal, right? It is not a one player thing. I think that if Kalen doesn't get his foot on that ball and unfortunately goes into the net, it's an easy tap in on the back end.
100%.
And I think it was unfortunate that I think it was Tejada on the left side who had the ball and he had the space to cross it in. Yeah, that was maybe somebody should have been back. Probably Jalen probably should have been back on that. But ultimately, the reason he's not back is because you've got some, uncertainty on who's going to the attacker right there. So that's multiple players maybe not communicating correctly. So I think your analysis is spot on there. And I think that, broadly speaking, we looked a little sluggish. We looked a little slow. We still controlled the vast majority of the match. We had more possession. We had more shots, all that kind of stuff. Didn't have more shots on target, unfortunately. I think that's where we've seen our biggest struggle this year, right? Yeah, Justin, you're right. We scored both goals for a point. But I think that's where we've seen our biggest struggle this year, right? The vast majority of the matches we've controlled possession. The vast majority of the matches we've controlled the chances. The vast majority of the matches we've controlled touches in the opponent's box. The problem has been finishing. And I think a big part of that is losing Greg. A big part of that is I think Thomas is still getting acclimated. Maybe it's taking a little longer than we'd like or expected. When he's on and confident, he looks great. But we just need to see that a little more consistently, right? So, I think you're spot on, Jacob.
Yeah, and Thomas was inches away from another goal in this one, but here in this clip here, if we take it back, you can see Quelle start in and back that stutter step.
That's what I mean about the uncertainty there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think you see Jalen inside. I'm not sure where Quelle is looking at that moment. But maybe he sees Jalen there. Maybe he thinks Jalen's coming out. Maybe he, again, maybe he's not sure. But I mean, I think if you see Jalen sitting back this far, I think if you're Quelle, you've got to keep that run going. But like I said, you see the indecision. Do you drop back out and cover the outlet pass, or do you follow through and take it to the byline? So, definitely something there. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if the ball gets by, Jalen and would have gotten by Kalen if not for the touch there. And yeah, that's an easy tap in at the back post. Which I mean, and you can't fault the guys for the defending here in the middle because they're compact. Like they're gonna, they're where they should be. Maples is where he should be. He's got the defender, he's got the attacker covered here. Kalen's where he should be to try to be in the middle of that pass. And so yeah, just a tough moment there. for United, and it's just unfortunate that touch goes into the goal off Kaelin's foot. So.
Yeah, and if it doesn't go in, we're all talking about how great of a track back that is from Kaelin, right?
Mm-hmm.
He does a great job to get his foot to it, to deny Tejada. It's just unfortunately the angle off his foot is in the net. It's the risk you take, but again, if he doesn't take that risk, Tejada has an easy tap in.
Yeah, and going into the second half, and I asked about it in the post-match presser. Obviously, after halftime, Colorado switched to a very defensive 4-4-2. At times, there were maybe 2 to 3 yards in between that second and third line. And, coaches talked all year, and the players have talked all year about breaking down these low blocks. And now, when we say low block, we don't necessarily mean they're sitting back in the 18. It's that tight, compact set of lines. And here in this moment here, this is Jabang's shot that goes off the post here. Great timing, great run, and I mean, just inches away from a goal there. That
what a goal that would have been.
Yeah,
it would have been sick.
So, David, from your perspective, looking at this as a fan and someone who understands the tactics of the game, and then obviously, I know
you're being very generous about me understanding the tactics of the game, by the way.
I know you're going to say coach is a far better tactician and all this, and it's up to him. But what do you see? 11 shots, 1 on target. Colorado had 9 and 2. We talk about creativity. The players talk about creativity. Coach talks about creativity. But when you're only getting 1 shot on target, it doesn't necessarily seem all that creative to people on the outside because they don't see the effort that's being put in. They just see, oh, we didn't shoot. We didn't make the goalie do anything.
Yeah.
So what do you think creatively needs to happen for more opportunities to put the ball on frame?
Yeah. And to your point, Seth, I think coach will be the first to tell you, and he was, by the way, in the post-match press conference, the first to tell you that it's not creative enough, right? We aren't creating enough. So I'm not speaking out of school here when I think we all can see we need more chances on frame. It's very difficult, except maybe for Colorado's goal in this match, to score goals without getting shots on frame, right?
I love the stat. It's hilarious.
What was that?
I loved that stat that they were they tied it 1-1 with 0 shots on target.
Yeah, that's never a good thing. But to your point, how do we get more creative, right? That's a tall task, and if you can solve that problem right off the bat, then I think Dennis will want to have a conversation with you. But I think what makes it difficult, and I'll start with that, what makes it most difficult is that teams see us correctly as one of the best teams in this league, right? Mm-hmm. They see us as one of the most talented teams in this league. I mean, if you look just speaking broadly about the players across our front line, you're looking at guys like Michele Akale, like Fernando, like Greg Hurst, like Daniel Bruce, right? We have all of these incredible players up top, and it rightly strikes fear into the heart of opponents. Why? How do we know that? Because they sit in a low block. I mean, every single team that comes to the lab, except for one so far this season, has sat in a low block. And most teams, when we play them in their stadium, when they're trying to get momentum and play in front of their fans, they still sit in a low block. They're basically giving up their home field advantage because they know if they come out of a low block, we're going to kind of torch them. So them sitting in a low block, and like you said, that doesn't necessarily mean just sitting 11 behind the ball, although it sometimes does, makes things more difficult, right? And that's the reason they do it. So how do we solve that problem? I don't know the answer to that. I think a healthy Greg Hurst certainly helps. I think that Dennis, I think you guys were talking about right before I came on, has started to switch some things around tactically, playing Mackenzie Gaines through the middle the other night, that kind of thing, trying some different pieces. But again, it's not an easy riddle to solve. If it was, we'd have already solved it. And then, opponents would have come up with something new to solve our solving. So I don't envy coach for having to try and figure that out. And again, the low block has existed for, decades and decades, because unfortunately, as ugly as it is, Jose Mourinho perfected it and it works.
That it does. Jacob, looking at this and then looking ahead, obviously we're back on the road, Lexington next weekend. Lexington, not great. One of the worst teams in the league this season. They are sitting bottom of the Western Conference. Our first time ever against this club. United historically has not done well going east. We've certainly done better this year. Against a team that we should beat on paper record wise, with what we've done, with what they've done. What's your biggest worry about this match on Saturday?
Oh, at the risk of getting clipped by our buddy Jerry, nothing.
That's always a dangerous thing to say. I take back what I said about your analysis.
I look at this Lexington team, and some of the names are there, but the results have just been absolutely terrible. And the product on the field is just not what I think the talent should be. And I don't think that's going to change overnight between now and Saturday. And so
remember that time we drew with a terrible, terrible Miami team?
That's what I was literally just going to say. I feel like it's the wild, wild west, even though Lexington is a little bit further east. And it's kind of laughable that it's, they're considered part of the West. But for some reason, even when we're playing teams that are not performing well, they step it up against United. And maybe it's what David Carl was talking about, just a lot of respect for our squad, and they want to come out and show out. And so I don't know, it always seems to bite us in the butt when we, at least for me, I mean, I thought Colorado Springs should have been a pretty easy win. And
on paper, it should be, right? But
paper,
that's why they play the games. That's why they play the games. And, Lexington is, I mean, if you look at their roster, the talent on their roster, they're much better than they've played. Mm-hmm. And you never know when a team that struggled early on in the season is going to turn it around, and you just hope it's not against you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, two of those teams in that conversation there, El Paso and Phoenix, not great. They're now starting to find a stride. Rising's unbeaten in 5, and El Paso is as well. So, two tough opponents there. But yeah, you talk about Lexington, Logan Ketterer, a name that we're all familiar with. Marcus Epps, if you follow the USL at all over the past several years, that's another name that you should be familiar with. They have players that
I'm familiar with him. I also think he's highly overrated. And so that could be part of where I'm coming from. Same with Logan. He was good to average with El Paso, and that was
he was one of the best keepers in the league with El Paso. Yeah, as much as I don't want to give El Paso any props, but he was very good.
Fine, he was, but that was years ago, and he hasn't.
Then they promptly booed their next keeper.
Yeah, who was a legend in the USL, by the way, in Evan Newton, and so I don't know. I'm not saying that I'm going to be right. I hope
you are, by the way. I hope you're right, and I hope we crush him.
He just asked what I was worried about, and there's nothing I can pinpoint that's like, oh yeah, that has me concerned, because I don't. At current form, they are not playing very well. There's an argument to be made that we're not necessarily playing the best soccer right now either.
We're top of the West. Come on.
Yeah, we're still top of the West, and we've been top of the West, or at least fighting for it pretty much the whole season, while not playing our best soccer. And so.
That's the key thing right there, right? While not playing our best soccer, without probably our best goal scorer, while new guys are still finding their way into the system, right?
With a new coach.
With a new coach. I think Justin said it before, right? When Thomas Among, really gets into things, there it is. Yeah. I mean, I think he'll be absolutely fantastic. I think Gideon Zalalem is another example where he has really started over the last few matches to come into his own. But it took him a little bit of time to get, revved up. But I mean, now he's starting to look like what we all hoped he would be. I think he's been one of our best players over the last few matches. And
his confidence has come a long way.
Yeah, I think Gideon's going to continue to soar and get better. And I think Among's going to continue to get better. I mean, we got a lot of players. I think Fernando, the sky's the limit with that guy. He's so exciting to watch. I mean, we have so many players who, again, we're top of the West with a match in hand on most of our opponents. And we have so many players who still we know can do much more. So that's exciting.
Can any of you tell me when the last time Lexington won a league match was?
Nope. But I'm stingy.
Wasn't it opening weekend?
It was opening weekend.
Was it?
Yes.
And they haven't won any match since March 19th.
I don't know, Jacob. I feel like you're I'm
knocking on anything I can find right now.
And if
'cause
anyone can help, another team out and break their bad streak, it's United traveling east in particular.
Haven't
Space
been
Kid,
that
is
bad.
Zico available on Saturday? I don't know. I don't know for sure. I hope so. He was with the Philippines taking on, I believe it was Turkmenistan. So that's a long trip. But yeah, I'm not sure if he's back and available on Saturday or not. I certainly hope so. I know that the guys are traveling on Thursday this week because they usually do when they go further east. So that's why, Seth, we've got media tomorrow. I think you probably saw the media advisory.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if he's back or not. I'll have a better idea tomorrow.
Yeah, international news always a fun time for the club. But it's great. It's great to see Zico getting the call up. I mean, Zico's doing well. Glad to see that for him. But yeah, I would say Lexington won their USL championship opener. Right? There's a Hartford, right? Yeah, Hartford. I was say I knew it was a bit, but yeah, they've they haven't done well, and I know we do have the comment here. Hey, Lexington's West going to USL. Yeah, they're yeah. Don't know why they're in the West, but they are.
They're further east than some. I mean, they're further east than some Eastern Conference teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's fun to see a new club. It always is. And obviously the league is still expanding over the next couple of years. We have Pro Rail coming. We have, USL Division 1 coming. We have, again, brand new clubs. Hopefully NOLA's not dead. I mean,
I hope not too, because that would be like the best away day ever.
Right? I know it was. We talked about this before. NOLA will be fantastic, and I know there's a list of all the upcoming teams. Like we've got Brooklyn, we've got so many other teams preparing. You've got other teams looking at making the jump into championship. So a new team is great. A new team's exciting, but you don't want to. Again, we said you're going east. Anytime we cross the Mississippi, it's not been great.
It hasn't been that bad.
We've done better.
Really
historically, this year's been better.
This year's been better.
Yeah.
Even last year, we had a rough start with disasters in Tampa Bay and Charleston.
The whole team was sick, right?
Yeah. They had flu.
But after that, we played fine going back east. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. I
remember we went in 2022. We did a 2-match road trip to Detroit and then New York. And I went to both of those matches, took a week off of work and went to both of those. Detroit, we came back and tied it in the 97th minute and really gave it back to all their fans who had been giving it to us all match, which was a lot of fun. And then we went and absolutely annihilated New York in New Jersey. So that was a lot of fun too. So yeah, we've had some wins back east. I also think that top to bottom, the East is much more a conference of haves and have-nots than the West. I think the West, with a few exceptions here and there, generally is fairly even, right? You have your San Antonios and your Sacramentos and your New Mexicos who are good every single year. You have your Phoenixes and El Pasos who are usually good. And then everybody else is just kind of middle of the road. In the East, you have like a Miami who's usually pretty awful, right? In the East, you've got your Charlestons, and your Louisvilles who are always good, and usually Tampa, not this year. But they've gone through a lot as an organization. So I think the East is much more up and down, whereas the West is more steady.
Which I think is why historically the West does better when it comes to the final championship game.
But the last 5 titles have been won by the West?
Yep, because we beat each other up all season long and ready for the final battle.
Yep.
So last year, I didn't look at draws, just wins and losses. We had 2 wins in the East.
Of you.
Yeah, for sure. We had 2 wins in the East and 3 losses.
That's not horrible.
And the losses were to Charleston, Tampa Bay, and Detroit.
I think
which are all very good teams.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. 2
of them were just really big losses, though, right?
Yeah,
like
Charleston and Tampa. Charleston was 4-0. Tampa was 3-0. And so.
But again, it was the squad was sick. It's an outlier, and then Tampa.
Oh, let's not talk about power rankings. Power rankings. I just want to say this out loud, and I know everybody knows this. Power rankings are made to generate clicks. They are made to outrage you. They are not made like Nicholas Murray. God bless him, knows exactly what he's doing. He wants you to be outraged. He wants you to comment that like he is doing the wrong thing, that you think his rankings are stupid, whatever it is. That is why power rankings exist. Otherwise, we'd just go by the standings.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Yeah, we talked about it last week, and so I want Dave, while you're here, let me get quickly. I know we need to do predictions for this Saturday's match. Power rankings after non-league play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Yes or no?
No, of course not. Power rankings, right. First of all, power rankings ever, no. But power rankings after non-league matches, what is the point of that? So let me get this straight. If we beat Omaha, right, 2-0, which is great, happy about that, no problem, and no shade to Omaha, but they're a division down. We beat Omaha 2-0, and then, I don't know, San Antonio loses to Sacramento 2-0. Are those the same value? They shouldn't be, but according to power rankings, they are, right? And it's just, if we beat Northern Colorado Hailstorm and El Paso, yeah, no, they're still around. They're in the League of Clubs. And then El Paso loses to LAFC. I mean, should those be weighed the same? No, of course not.
I think he was trolling the greater community with last week's power rankings after
all I'm saying is that after we beat FC Juarez, we better see a big jump in the power rankings.
I agree. And I've been talking to a friend of mine who lives across the pond, and he's like, "You guys playing Juarez?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is our second year in a row." He goes, "I'm gonna have to watch that." I said, "Yeah, absolutely. Tune in, watch that one. That's gonna be a lot of fun." I would love for us to see more friendlies during our preseason.
Yeah, I would love to see that too. I would love to see, and we're not there yet as a club, but I would love for us to eventually to get to a point where we can go internationally for friendlies. And we went to Juarez for preseason this year, which was pretty cool. I went down with the club. That was a lot of fun. But like, how cool would it be? Here's my big audacious idea. We have preseason, it's, I don't know, February, and we have an away trip to Saprissa in the Dominican Republic, and there's a fan trip out there. How amazing would that be? That would be so cool.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, we could get crushed 6-0 in that situation, and I don't think anybody would care. Because we're in the DR. We're going to go have Mai Tais afterwards. It's going to be great.
Let's bring back USL Puerto Rico.
They were so bad.
They were.
I just want to see a veteran team in the soccer tournament. I want to see the Mexico United team, and yeah, we gotta like fundraise or something to get them in. Get them in there.
I've got a funny story about that. So the first year of the TST was 2 years ago, I think, and Devin Sandoval was putting a team together, and they were entering the tournament. And then I called him and I said, "Hey, we're doing Devin Sandoval night." And he said, "No, that's when TST is and we're supposed to play." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know what to do about that." So he pulled out of the TST and it was my fault.
And he hasn't gone back yet.
Yeah. I would love to see that. If we get like Devin, Kevon Frater, who's obviously experienced in there. Chris Weehan,
even
Cody Mizell, Suggsy. I mean, that would be amazing. Yeah, David Estrada.
I would totally travel there to see them.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Have a big New Mexico cheering session.
I would absolutely love that. That would be so cool.
JOG, yeah, that'd be good.
Justin Schmidt, by the way, come on. He's the only player I've ever seen who has gotten more muscular after retiring from soccer.
Yeah. Well, it helps when you join the military.
Yeah.
He's in the Green Berets, so no big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, he's obviously moved on doing much bigger things than playing football. So, all right, Lexington SC. Let's get some predictions for this weekend. David
go first.
I know.
I don't do it. I don't do predictions. I predict that we'll win. How about that? That's what I'll do. I'll go that far.
Wow, that's a lot. I know
that's more than I've ever done.
That's big. That's big.
I can tell you're leaving for sure now. You would have never done that had you still been staying.
Again, I'm not doing a score or anything, but that's as far as I've ever gone, and that's as far as I'll ever go.
That's all we wanted, David.
It might be back on the show when I'm working for Dynamo and Dash, and maybe I'll predict a United match.
David, you do have an open invitation anytime.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So Jacob, let's get yours.
Oh hell. I talked a lot of shit. So
He's going to predict Lexington will win.
1-1. No, just kidding. No, we'll go 3-1. Normally 2-1's the go-to, but I don't. And giving them a goal is generous in my opinion right now. So
I want you to give them a goal because I want Tambi to get the record in New Mexico.
Okay, fair. So 3-1. 3-1. I'll go 3-1 because we know that what I say is going to happen apparently.
Yep, clearly. Christina?
Wow, until David said that about Alex, I was totally like rooting for that clean sheet, but you're right. I want him in the lab when he gets that. So shoot, he's gonna have to give up a goal on purpose, which means we're gonna have to.
We're gonna pay Kaylin to get another own goal.
Nobody took that own goal harder than Kaylin did, even though it wasn't really his
poor
fault.
Kaylin, yeah. I had a feeling that would be the case. Poor guy.
Yeah.
I am really stingy and I want to see them stay on the top and I want to see that goal differential grow. And so obviously I want the win, but now I don't want it to be a clean sheet. So I'm going to say the boring answer of 2-1.
Oh, here you go. Justin's got the idea. Put Shakes in.
I'm happy with that. Let Shakes get a clean sheet.
Justin, I like that. Yeah.
Shakes has done well this year.
Shakes has really come into us. I gotta be honest. When Shakes first came in and joined us, again, fresh out of college, right? Just graduated from Penn State. I wasn't sure. And then he had a tough match last year. Was that the Charleston match?
Yeah, that's
and that wasn't all his fault, right? It was just a tough match. We had sick players, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was worried about him. And then, man, since that moment, I don't know if that moment motivated him. He's been unbelievable. I mean, and not to mention, he's like the nicest guy ever. But like genuinely, he's been so good. You watch him in training, he looks like Superman. I mean, we genuinely have two unbelievable goalkeepers. And Aaron's Yellow's on the bench. Love that.
Yeah, that was great.
I would 100% agree with you, David, except for the shootout.
That was tough.
I was not a fan of his.
I don't know what he was doing.
But other than that,
I think the moment might have got to him a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Other than that, though, for sure, lights out.
You got to remember, he's 22 years old.
Yeah.
Well, his energy, his smile, his camaraderie is infectious. I mean, you can see it from across the entire stadium.
I've never seen a quote unquote backup goalkeeper who's more beloved than that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I loved Ben Beery, right? And I love Big Phil. Those are great guys. But Shakes, people love Shakes.
Yeah. I don't know. I got to put Ron in that pantheon as well. So
yes, fifth string goalkeeper.
Like he made the squad.
Yeah, that's right.
He did.
The team put out that that chart of where you would sit.
Oh yeah.
On the thing, and I was trying to find it because it was so obvious to me because it was like Shakes and Maples were like right next to each other. I was like, anybody that doesn't say Shakes sitting next to Shakes and Maples is insane to me.
I need to see that thing because I gotta see where Shakes and Maples are such good dudes. Both. Mm-hmm. I mean, we are really lucky. And again, this is a credit to Itamar and the coaching staff, and it's frankly always been the case here that they do go character first. And we genuinely have no shitheads, which is in professional sports is pretty rare. So we're really lucky. These guys are great guys.
Yeah, it really has been great. And you and I were talking Saturday night. We've talked multiple Saturday nights. Like Brucey and Sergio and those guys were out there till I don't know what time did they finally stop signing autographs. I know it was close to 10.
That's just how they do it, man. I mean, it's. I mean, you and I are there until I don't know what, like 10 o'clock, and the guys have like just gone into the locker room at that point. The last of them, and it's pretty incredible.
Did Micheletto stick around after the match?
Yeah, Marco gave his jersey away to a fan, which was very nice of him to do that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very cool. Good to see Marco. I mean, super nice guy as well. I hated to see him leave, but
really glad that Tambi stopped a shot.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so I have to give a prediction for Saturday. I'm going to say, as much as I want Alex to get the record here at home, we're just too good. We're just too good. I think you see a better performance from Alex, and not that Alex did anything well. I think you see a better performance from Kaylin, from the back line. I think we get a little bit more creative or just across the board. I say 2-0 on the road. keep breaking that, Mississippi curse. So
I just said what everybody else was apparently thinking, because Christina was going to go clean sheet. Seth went 2-0. You predicted a win. So I'm the only one that's out here saying that they suck and we're going to clean the floor with them. But you guys were all thinking it, at least.
You ever see the movie The Big Lebowski, Jacob?
Mm-hmm, of course.
There's a line in that movie. You're not wrong, Walter. You're just an asshole. I'm not saying you are. It's just all about the delivery, right?
Well, if they had showed me anything in the last 2 months, I would be nicer about it.
I am completely joking. We love you, Jake.
Their crest reminds me of the Oregon Trail. And I just think of dying on the Oregon Trail.
Somebody's going to get dysentery in this match.
Yeah.
I sincerely hope that's not the case, but no, I see it. Yeah. Jacob, you have one more topic on our rundown for tonight, and David, with you being here with us, almost being in a farewell state, I think this is a perfect question. 7 years ago, and the post came out, the club was announced. Back then, I mean, how did you first hear about the club, and then what got you invested?
Yeah, great question. I think I grew up around soccer as a fan. I've loved the game since I was a kid. I've been an Arsenal supporter since I was very young.
Oh, sorry.
We're not going to dive into it, Jacob. But I've always loved the game. I grew up, watching the Miami Fusion, Carlos Valderrama down there. Loved those games. Grew up watching the U.S. women's national team, U.S. men's national team too. So I've always loved the game. And when I was in Philly, I was there when the Philadelphia Union first came around, and saw the positive impact that the Sons of Ben created, that the team created, and the community that they generated together, the difference that they made in Philadelphia. And so when I heard about it the day that it was announced, I didn't know it was coming. I heard about it the day that it was announced that there was a new team. I was so excited. I was like, man, this can really make a difference here. I think it can really bring some positivity to New Mexico. And that was before I knew anything about their mission. I just knew there was going to be a team coming. The next day, there was a meet and greet at a local bar and restaurant. And I went there, and I already had met Ron because I was a season ticket holder for the Soul. But I met Ron there, Lucas, and Pete, and just kind of introduced myself, signed up for a season ticket deposit. I was probably one of the first 10, 15 people to do that. I would be willing to bet. And on the form there was a checkbox where you could check if you were interested in being part of a supporters group. So I checked that box, and then a couple days later got an email from Lucas with me and 6 other people on it, and he said, hey, you guys all check the box, that you were interested in starting a supporters group. So we all met at Steelbender. Ron bought the first round, or maybe Pete bought the first round, I think, for all of us, and then left and let us do our thing, and we started the curse right there. It was really, really cool. And again, I was excited to be part of it because I was excited about the impact it could have on New Mexico. And then at every step of the way, that was just reiterated in ways that I never expected. Like I always hoped that it could make a big difference, but I didn't expect to have a club that leaned into community like this. And that hasn't stopped. And we're in year 7 now, guys. We've been doing this for 7 years. And every step of the way, this club has worked to be community first. And again, I'm sad to be leaving the club. It's a really bittersweet moment, but I'm not sad because I'm worried. I'm worried is the last thing I am. I'm so confident in the direction of this club. I'm so confident in the people that are part of it. Every single one of them, from Ron and Pete all the way down. Everybody cares. Everybody's in it for the right reason. Everybody's pulling in the same direction. What more could you want? So it's so exciting to be a fan. It's so exciting to be part of something that means so much to so many. I love this club. I love this community. I love all the work that we all all of you guys, everybody who's watching, everybody who's listening, everybody who attends a match, goes to a tailgate, goes to a foundation fundraiser, attends an academy match, participates on social media. Everybody just cares and pulls in the right direction. And it's so unique. It's so unique. That is what I would hope to leave folks with here. Like, I hope they know how special this is. This doesn't exist anywhere else. I've never seen anything like it. And it is so unique and so special and so New Mexican. And I just encourage you all to enjoy and soak up every single moment, because it is really, really, truly special.
That is. Christina,
Mm-hmm.
how did
Gosh,
you
how
first
do you
find out?
follow up with that? I didn't know about the team when they had their first match. So it wasn't until the second match that I think I saw a billboard or something and went with my sister and my cousin and his girlfriend at the time. They're married now, and now they have I don't know, he's probably like 4 or 5, which is wild. I was thinking about that the other day. Like, New Mexico United has been around so long that these kids who were born during, the inception of United are now school age kids, which is bonkers.
My youngest son was born April 13th, aka the 5-1 match against Real Monarchs, and he was born at like the 52nd-ish minute.
Love that you remember that.
And so yeah, the fact that he's 6 and is going into first grade,
it's crazy.
After being born during the first season is insane.
I think of people like Dalen, Rachel's daughter.
Day, yeah.
She was little when we started, and now she's all grown up. I think of, I know he's a little like
Rio.
I think of Carlos Sombrero.
Yeah.
I know he looked like he was an adult from back then, but the first tailgate, I offered him a beer. He was like 16. I didn't know that at the time. I'm glad he said no. But I thought he was a grown adult. Now he actually is, right? Like, he's going to graduate college next year.
Yeah.
Right? Like, these are grown people that have grown up in this community. And the thing that makes me so excited about that too is, like, it's only gonna get better. That it's just becoming part of life that you pass on, right? Like, it's like, Seth, your kids are gonna love United, and Jacob and Christina, like all of the next generation. It's just gonna be part of life, and then their kids, and then it's the coolest thing, and we get to be part of it. It's so cool.
Yeah. So I went to, I think it was the second home match, and then we kept buying tickets for each match in different places around the stadium to figure out where we liked, and then ended up doing like the 8-ticket package, because by then it was already like well into the season. But after that, I'd been a season ticket holder. I'm old enough to have shagged balls for the Chili's. So, and I grew up playing soccer. So for me, I was blown away by the atmosphere and crowd at that match and each consecutive match after that. And, bought in, hook, line, sinker. And then now getting to, participate with the club with United in Our Abilities is just so meaningful to me. Super bummed with Linnea leaving and now you leaving, David. But I have all the faith in the world that those sorts of really meaningful things that the foundation does and the club does are going to continue on and thrive and continue to grow. But I feel super fortunate that I get to be involved. And you guys invited me like crazy people onto this podcast, which never in a million years would I do a podcast. Thanks. So yeah, just totally bought in from, I say, day 2.
What about you, Seth?
I mean, I've told the story before. Like, soccer wasn't a part of my life really until 2014. World Cup. Watching U.S. and Germany. Seeing Romelu Lukaku. Playing Belgium, not Germany. But Tim Howard, and that's where I got into soccer. I missed. I wasn't in Atlanta when Atlanta United was announced. I was super bummed. As soon as they were, I was like, okay, I'm in. I'm an Atlanta United fan. Come out here. Obviously UNM, the men's program, is really good at the time. And there's some guys on that, around those teams, early teens, Devin Sandoval, Chris Wehan, guys like that. So I knew who Devin was. And when Devin signed for Atlanta United, played for the Twos, it's like, okay, I know who this guy is. I'm going to kind of follow him. And then, because he signed with Atlanta in March of 2018. And there were rumors that he was signing for someone else, for an upcoming team. And that's so I kept following the news. And finally, like, I didn't realize at the time that it was a New Mexico club. And then when the news dropped that there's going to be New Mexico United, and they came out day of and announced Devin, you've got a player. You don't have a team name.
They weren't supposed to do that, by the way.
Oh, they weren't? No shield, no colors, no name.
Just like Pete to do things a little different, right?
Yeah.
What are they going to do? Tell him he can't form the club?
Right.
Yeah, at that point, I was like, okay. Like, I saw the announcement and it said Devin came out, had that initial, scarf. I'm like, okay, like, all right, I'm in. And so I just kept trying to follow as much news as I possibly could. And, there really wasn't a whole lot of news the first, 6-8 months. And then you start finding out more and more. It's like, okay, well, the club's coming. It's happening in 2019. Okay, let's do this. I remember coming out and sitting down that first home game and just loving every second of it. Like, I had never been to a professional soccer match my entire life. Like, I'd seen the Soul, I had seen, different things. I'd, participated, but I had never seen a professional soccer match.
Where did you watch that match from, Seth? Because I just picture you in the press box all the damn time, and I don't think that's where you were.
Yeah, where did you sit?
No, I was sitting first base side, almost behind home plate.
Okay.
So that's where I was. Yeah, that's where I was sitting. I still have the ticket stuff back in.
I've still got mine too.
Yeah. And I remember watching, and I was like, okay, this is so much fun. This is so much of it. I'd watched it on TV. I said, after the World Cup, 2014, I started watching Premier League. I didn't care about the MLS. I was like, okay, Tim Howard, these guys, they're over in England playing. Why would I watch American soccer? But yeah, one of the first home matches, I'm all in. And everything changed from there. Tweeted at the radio station, tweeted at KRQE. Ron even gave me a reply. Oh, there's an article out there. Ron had like three sentences about that first match. I said, this ain't it. And everything changed. I fell in love with soccer in 2014, and this club has just continues to reinforce that. And my kids are playing now. Well, at least my older son plays. My younger son, he'll sit down, he'll watch it. He loves getting involved. He'll watch it. He gets excited whenever someone scores. He helps me do like social media. He helps me do all these, and Dave, like you said, our kids are now going to grow up on this. They're going to see the passion. Like, I grew up in Atlanta, Braves fan, Falcons fan, Georgia Tech, because that's what it was. You had your teams and you stuck with them thick and thin, no matter what. And I cannot wait for the future of United.
Here.
Jacob?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about it on the pod several times in the 5 years that we've been doing the pod, but watched soccer here and there. Wasn't a diehard by any means. Would watch the World Cups. Mainly, I've just been a sports fan since I was out of the womb, basically, I'm pretty sure. And soccer was a sport, like Seth said, the big name U.S. players were playing overseas or just didn't exist at some points of my life. And so it was never big. I played 1 year. It was way too much running for me. And that was when I was like 5. And so got the orange slices and then dipped and never really thought about it again. At the time, United was not announced because I never saw the announcement. I mean, I've seen it since then, but I didn't see it in the moment. I think what I finally saw was a poster in the back room of a Smith's in Bernalillo or Rio Rancho. I had a bread route and delivered bread to the Rio Rancho area. Saw a poster of the schedule for 2019, and this was probably January, maybe
I think I still have that poster.
I wish I did.
I think I do.
And so I saw that poster and was like, I wonder what that's about. One of the guys that owned a route that I knew was a big soccer guy, I asked him, and he kind of gave me the rundown of kind of what the league was like, and then Devin Sandoval and this and that. And I asked him, well, do you want to get season tickets? And he said, yeah. So we bought one season ticket each and was split it amongst the 34 game or 17 games. So I think we went to the first one together, fell in love, went to the second one, promptly lost my opening day flag because I took it back to the second match with me and lost it. And then similar to Seth, I felt like the coverage wasn't quite there. And so I'm sure David remembers the newsletter or newspaper that a group of us did that first year. That I'm very proud of the first iterations of that. By the end of the year,
a copy of the first one too.
Yeah, I think I have a Spanish version of the last one. I have an English version of the last one, and I have an English version of the first one. And so I'm super proud of those, even though it didn't end quite like I wanted it to that year when it came to the newspaper itself. But that led to Seth and I linking up after similar experiences after the first season and needing to do something new, but still wanting to give the team some coverage. And so we started a podcast in 2020, promptly did one for the first match of 2020, and then all hell broke loose. And so we had to, I think we did random ass episodes during COVID. And then finally this season started up, and we've been doing it, almost every week. I think the longest we've gone without a single episode is 2 weeks. And that's only been a little bit because this off season we did it every year. I had no idea. Had you told me in January of 2019, when I saw the poster and bought season tickets, that the effect that it would have on not just my life, but the community of Albuquerque and New Mexico as a whole, with the Somos Niños Foundation and the Academy and United in Our Abilities and just all these avenues that have been opened up that previously didn't exist. I don't think I could have imagined half of that being the case. But here we are 7 years later, 6 years really from me finding out and diving headfirst into it. And I couldn't imagine life without it. This setup right here is in my living room. If you walk into my house, you see the scarves, you see the flag on the window. I almost exclusively wear United kits or a hoodie or something if I'm not in my work uniform. And so, yeah, I think at times it has been an unhealthy obsession for me, but when you have kids, you kind of find that balance eventually. And like David said, my kids are growing up to love it. They watch some of the matches with me. I'm also very, very particular about when I watch matches and paying attention and not having a lot of distractions. So sometimes I'm like, okay, guys, go away if you're not going to sit here and actually watch it with me. But no, it's 7 years is crazy. I can't wait for 10 years, honestly. And so I'm looking forward to walking upstairs to a press room with United memorabilia and posters and pictures and kits all along the wall, going up those stairs to that. And I've cried when it comes to United. I've cried a couple times, I'm sure, but the opening day of our own stadium and winning a cup will probably be two of the times I've cried the hardest in my life, let alone for sports. And so,
yes.
So yeah, I never thought that it would mean that much to me after buying season tickets 6.5 years ago.
Thinking back, so real quick, I know we got to get out of here. Thinking back to that 2019 season, 17 teams that we played in 2019. How many are still in the league today?
I mean, we could figure this out, right?
10?
I know.
Just off the cuff, I would say 10. But because all the 2 teams are gone.
Mm-hmm.
Austin, Salt Lake City, Reno, Tacoma. It's a lot of teams.
I think 10.
RGV.
What's the answer, Seth?
I
Am I
think it's
close?
9. Is it 9?
The answer is 8.
8.
8, including the Roughnecks, who are now FC Tulsa.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
so
because I
teams
forgot
that
about Oakland, or
clubs that are no longer part of the league: Fresno,
Oh, Fresno.
Fresno,
Forgot about
Tacoma,
Fresno.
RGV, Salt Lake, Reno, Timbers 2, Bold, OKC. Although technically, no, they're coming back. Supposedly, maybe,
So I was right. It was 9.
and LA 2.
Well,
Yeah.
and you could take it even further, right? There's been San Diego who's come and gone since then.
Yeah,
right?
come and gone.
It's
Yeah.
wild. It's wild.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Mhm.
A lot of change, but the league is hopefully poised for the future. And with all the league announcements, there's a lot to look forward to over the next couple of years. So, guys, I know it's late. Anybody have any closing thoughts?
Appreciate
I
you
look
guys.
forward
Thanks
to the
for bringing it up.
10-year anniversary where all of these amazing people who've been affiliated with United come back to visit, like you, David. And like I think of like Josh and the amazing stuff he did with the media team. I know there's been a couple of other media people who have left to LAFC or Austin or and then other players coming back. Like, I don't know. I think it's going to be a really cool reunion of sorts
That'll be a great day.
at our stadium. Yeah.
I just have one. Since I just found out about the news on the show earlier, I've had a little bit of time now to process it, David. I'm not angry at you like I was when I first heard it. I just want to thank you for what you've done for us in particular and the team. And while it is bittersweet, I'm happy for you guys and wish you the best over there. And as you said, you get to go back to being a fan. And I mean, I know you've been a fan the whole time, in the closet. Sometimes
I don't hide it very well.
Yeah, no, you don't. but I wish you the best of luck over there. And like Seth said, anytime you want to come on,
Thank you.
you're more than welcome to.
I appreciate it. I really appreciate it.
I won't let you talk Houston when you come on, but
that's fair. I hope you guys tune in a little bit. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've still got a little bit. I've still got my last day is the 28th. The Pride match will be my last day, so I'll be around.
Don't we have is Salazar over there at Houston?
James and Tori both are, and thank you
They
for
both
that,
are,
Jane.
okay.
Really appreciate it. Jane, you're wonderful. You're one of the people that make this special. And you guys in here in the stadium. Sorry, I just saw stadium in the chat. In this chat, right? This is a micro community that you guys have all created within the United community, right? And these are the things that make it special. So thank you guys. Yeah. So my last day will be the 28th. That'll be the Pride match, which I think is fitting because it's one of the matches that we really focus on bringing folks in who traditionally have not been welcomed in. So I'm really happy about that. But yeah, James and Tori Salazar are over in Houston as well. James is the kit man over there, the head equipment manager, and Tori is on the partnerships team. So I'm excited to reunite with them too. Good folks.
Good.
Great folks.
Good.
Very cool. David, thank you so much for being here. I know we dragged you in last minute, and I know this is a lot longer than we normally go, but this has been phenomenal. Like, I really enjoyed this, and I know we've still got you for a few more weeks. So I know we will definitely be seeing you. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be at the Pride match. I'm going to be in Georgia for that one.
That's okay.
But I will
can
be
get
there
mad at
on
you
the 21st.
for not being there when I'm leaving. So
yeah. But yeah, thank you so much, and as I said, you're welcome on anytime. And we certainly will be catching up with you throughout your time with Houston.
We'll stay in touch for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Jacob, what do you say we get out of here?
Let's do it, man. Great impromptu show tonight. We scratched half of my agenda, but that's typically how it goes. Jane, Justin, Josh, Rosemary, Space Kid was over there. Christina was popping in there talking to people while she was on the show. Some would say unprofessional, but I would say I welcome it.
Engaging.
Yes, exactly. Kelly, is that
That's my
Kelly?
sister.
Kelly? Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
saw that earlier. We meant to ask you. Thank you guys all over in the chat for listening to the podcast at a later date. Please rate and review on whatever podcast player you're listening to. And if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, be sure to like, subscribe, all that jazz. David, Christina, Seth, thank you guys for taking the time out of your busy lives to come on here like usual. And we'll be back next week, same time, same places. Talking about a Lexington ass kicking. So,
Yeah, Jacob.
Exactly. Thank you guys. Love y'all. Somos Unidos.